From ESPN's Aaron Schatz, he details the one off-season move he still wants to see the Seahawks make. So we're going to ask ourselves that question. What does it feel like this team is still missing? You had the draft, you had off-season signings and free agency. You are heading into training camp, still probably with some moves to make. But when you look at this team and you think about the thing you still want to see them do, what is it? So Aaron Schatz of ESPN says he still wants to see them add to the offensive line. He wants to see them sign guard Brandon Sherf. He said the interior offensive line was a major problem for the Seahawks last year. While he loves the addition of Gray Zabel, other positions still in flux, and he is looking right at the other guard spot and at center, saying, look, the current leader at right guard is Christian Haynes, last year's third-round pick. Why not bring in a Pro Bowl veteran?
Yeah, Brandon Sherf was on my wish list this offseason when we've had this conversation before, right? Where should they improve? Obviously, it's going to be on that offensive line. Sherf is valued around $6 million a year. The Hawks, as of now, have about $30 million in cap space, so it would be a nice little fix. And it's all about getting insurance on that offensive line at this point. I do realize that this new offensive group, these coaches, think that they can develop these guys. Mm-hmm. And I think they can. I look at the scheme and I feel like, okay, that will help a guy like Christian Haynes, who isn't the biggest guy, but he has good feet. It'll help a guy like Oluwatimi. I get all of that, but there's nothing like having a guy who's been there, who's done that, get on your staff and help these dudes out. Even if a young guy ends up passing him up, and now he's the backup in week 7 or 8 or whatever, at least it buys you some time, and he's not really expensive. I like this move. I think that's the place we're still concerned, is that offensive line. Now, we're still waiting to see what Sam looks like. We're still waiting to see if Cooper Kupp can turn back the hands of time a little bit, but none of that is going to happen. Sam's not going to play good. The outside guys aren't going to be able to execute if you do not get a body down there.
I know. It's like I don't want to be an echo chamber, but I feel like that's just the most obvious area where they've needed to add. And another thing I always go back to is I wouldn't say it's a pet peeve bump, but one of the things that I hate is when you know something is a giant question mark about your team and maybe they don't address it. And then you get halfway through the season and it remains a big problem. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you tell yourself, don't leave that glass of water on the floor. You're going to knock it over, Stacy. I've done this a million times. Don't set that glass down. You're going to knock it over. And I'm like, I won't forget. And then I get up to go do something and I knock over a glass of water and then I have to take 10 minutes to clean up water. Right. That's how I feel about last year, the Seahawks having questions at the offensive line or linebacker, about the Mariners having infield concerns heading into this season and now finding themselves probably needing to add at a corner infield spot at the deadline. And I don't want that to be the offensive line. I want to feel like, you know what? They did what they could. Genuinely, they tried to put the best Band-Aid they possibly could. We'll see what happens, but you made an effort. You don't want that thing haunting you.
No, that's why I feel good about the Griffin signing. Like, yeah, he's year 7, 8 in the league now. He's been here for a while. I'm not expecting him to have a Pro Bowl season, but you have that just in case. There's nothing like having a veteran there. 425 says Sherf is washed. One, I doubt that you've watched enough film to know if he's washed or not. 2, there's nothing like having a veteran there who's been there, who's done that, and you buy yourself some time with these younger guys because they can learn from him. He wasn't the best offseason option. We know who that was.
Yeah.
He didn't pass the physical. Didn't want to take the physical. Now he's in Indy, I believe?
No.
He came from Indy. Anyway, we know what we're talking about, right? No, he wasn't the best option. No, but this is where you are at this point. And we felt like this is where the Seahawks were going to go anyway. You're going to wait until everyone is signed. You're going to wait until some veterans get cut from training camp or something like that. And you're going to get some insurance. So it's about allowing space for these young guys to grow too. And with a guy like Sherf, if he were to come over here, you still do that because he's 33. You're not expecting him to come over and save the day. You're buying yourself some time. You have some cap space. I would like this move. I doubt they do it, but if I were them, this is something I'm looking at.
Yeah, well said. Almost every single offseason move that you're going to make at this point, especially whether it's this wave of free agency or a low-level trade, is going to be like going to a discount store and just thinking, I'm going to find the best thing here, but it's all within context of I'm not shopping at a really nice department store here. And you can still find really important additions. I'm a big thrifter.
I think it's got to change. That's what people have to do at this point. They got to change the way you look at the next move.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a move that puts you over the top. How did you get this guy? All those guys are gone. Yeah. All those guys who are franchise-changing, position-changing, room-changing type of moves.
Signed.
They've been signed for a while now. So let's just shift the way that we look at this next move.
Now, listen, there could be a big bad move, because I have one listener texting in. You can probably already see it on the text line. I'm going to throw this your way. All the free agents, wildly talented or the best available free agents, went in the first wave. They agreed to contracts with teams via their agents during the legal tampering period. Like, this is long gone. There is one potential big move: trading for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what you'd have to give up. It'd be something to make you uncomfortable, and it would also be giving him a new extension. But how would you feel about that move? That move in itself, would it be worth the risk?
For what this team needs, you can look at that move and say, well, that's not necessary. I believe in this defensive line already. I believe in the box with the linebacker, edge rushers, and all of that stuff. I get all of that. But acquiring talent is the name of the game. The guys on the football field are the ones that win games for you. Yes, you got to be coached up, got to be in the right scheme. But if you have an opportunity to get Trey Hendrickson and you feel comfortable giving up whatever it is, I wouldn't be mad at that. But I'm still going to look at this offensive line and say, yeah, you still probably need a piece or two there, because that's where the big question marks are. Hey, swing for the fences, man. I don't think they're going to do it, but I wouldn't be mad at that move.
Yeah, I want this defense. We've now talked with two separate people. Eric Williams of Fox Sports NFC West reporter being one of them, who said, look, I got to give the Rams the slight edge in terms of overall defense entering the season. I'd love some kind of move that would give Seattle the edge. And until they get on the field and outperform expectations, it would have to be an addition to kind of sway people's minds in that way. I'd love to feel, with as many question marks as I have about the offense, in particular the offensive line, and for that matter, Sam Darnold, I'd love to feel really sure and really excited about the defense. That is a move that would make me feel that way. I know that Hendrickson is 30. I know that, you're not necessarily looking to be a Super Bowl contender this year, so maybe that affects people's view of how aggressive they'd want to be with a trade. He would make you a better team.
Who has to perform the best for this team to have a chance?
At being a real contender? Darnold.
Yeah. Sam Darnold,
Sam
right?
Darnold.
So priority number one is making sure that he has every opportunity to do that. That's why I look at the offensive line. I think the defense is going to be fine, but if you have a chance, if you are willing to open up your wallet and pay Trey Hendrickson, no one will be mad at that move.
Well, Dave, we've talked a lot about what's new for the Seahawks and what we're looking forward to and what we're not certain about. And, training camp is right around the corner. And to me, this is chalk, but I'm most interested or most curious about Sam Darnold. Yeah. And it's because I think I can safely say nobody on the station talked about Sam Darnold when he was on the Vikings more than you and I did. Yeah. Because he was a fascination. We talked about this is a guy who was a top 5 pick. He went to the Jets. He was a bust. And he turned into a perennial backup. And all of a sudden, he's having this season out of nowhere. And we're looking each week at the box scores, going, "Whoa! Look at his line. He's throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and blah blah blah." And then the last 2 games of the season, we focused on, all right, those were the most consequential, and he didn't play well in those games. But those weren't the only 2. You and I were looking at the schedule and going, well, this game wasn't great. And the Jags, they won 12-7, and he had no touchdowns and 3 picks. And so there was some old Sam Darnold in there somewhere. To me, I'm just trying to figure out who's the real Sam Darnold. What are we going to see?
Right. Yeah, and then I'll get to, I think, my biggest question, which is the coaches that can unlock a guy like that, because that's kind of what happened, right? But you're right. I mean, we looked at the Jets game. Mm-hmm. I think he was 45% completion percentage and didn't throw a touchdown, had 1 interception. So there were some games like that were questionable, but for the most part, he, like I said, was unlocked by the coaching in Minnesota, and we saw it firsthand. Remember, he steps up and throws the game winner to Justin Jefferson on the run. He's almost getting sacked and steps up in the pocket and just throws a perfect pass. I mean, he beat Julian Love on that pass, and Julian had a great year. So yeah, I mean, it's that is a big question. I think, I'm going to go with coaching, and I think to me that's the biggest mystery as far as how much can the coaching sort of hide some of the warts, and then also are these players, which I've talked to a number of coaches and scouts, that they think they have the right players on the offensive line. And it's a matter of, and so I think going into this season, this is the most I remember ever talking about coaching.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in Clint Kubiak coming in here, and then the connection with him earlier with in San Francisco with Sam Darnold, and whether or not he can carry on that, unlocking Sam Darnold. But yeah, as far as the offensive line goes, I think that one of the best stats that I've heard was that Brady Henderson came on with us. He said, and when Kubiak was in New Orleans, they had more moving pockets as far as the pass game goes than any other team. And what that does is that helps your offensive line. I mean, last year it was just drop back, and they had to throw the ball, but they just didn't really help out the offensive line. So can these coaches not only unlock Sam Darnold once again, but also help be, offensive line friendly play calling on offense, I think is going to be one of the biggest mysteries.
Well, and hopefully that in turn leads to a run game that was absent last year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, there were some injuries, and certainly you have to account for those, but you had to throw the ball. You were dropping back. You threw the ball a ton. You couldn't run it. Right. You couldn't run it. You were bringing up, I can't remember who the opponent was, but 3rd and 1, they run off the left side. They can't convert. 4th and 1, same thing. They just didn't have any push from the line. The running attack wasn't much of a threat. So, I mean, it's all connected, right? The coaching staff, if they can get the line in good position, that's going to help Sam Darnold. The other guy we've got questions about, it's going to help the running game that wasn't there last year. So I think we figured out the biggest question is the coaches. Can they make everybody better on that side of the ball?
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever talked about coaching, particularly, on the offensive side. Kind of feel like we got it down on the defensive side, right? I mean, Mike McDonald is the master of that defense, and of course, Dirty is running the defense. But yeah, on the offensive side, I don't remember it being more reliant on coaching, and maybe that's not something that's going to happen. But one of the guys I would mention on the offensive line, you mentioned him before we came on the air, Bob, but Anthony Bradford is just an incredible athlete as far as an offensive lineman goes. And you see him every once in a while just give a guy just a little shove or a punch and falls down. I mean, he's incredibly strong, and he can play, and he's mobile enough to play in this run game, which is going to run that wide stretch zone where a lot of times when you look at the drills for the offensive line, they're like practically sprinting to the numbers. Like a lot of the run plays are out on the numbers. So, and I've been told that Anthony Bradford has the ability to do that. He's not just a big guy who is going to knock people down. I mean, he's also very athletic. So they feel like they have the guys at offensive line to get that done. But again, it goes back to the coaching.
You're not going to see Trey Hendrickson or Jalen Ramsey in our 53-man roster projection. All right, we all on the same page? We good? We good? All right, let's get started. We do have a change from the last time we did this with the quarterback room for Seattle. Sam Darnold made the team. But another name, Drew Lock, I have making the team. And let me explain why I have this. Drew Lock looked really good in OTAs and minicamp. And at times he outshined Sam Darnold. And the depth chart indicates that he is ahead of Jalen Milroe right now. And on top of that, too, folks, Jalen Milroe we do have making. The Seahawks have indicated that they could go a different direction than what they typically have done at the quarterback position. What we've seen over the years is that this organization typically only likes to carry 2 quarterbacks on the active roster. All right? And what we've heard from Schneider and others is that they're interested in going with 3 potentially. And there's ways around it, too, where you could have 2 activated, then 1 be the emergency. I could see a world, too, where Darnold and Milroe are the ones activated and Lock's the emergency quarterback. But I think as of right now, there is a world where Lock and Milroe can coexist. Now, if Milroe continues to improve and if he outplays Drew Lock, then maybe you move on from Drew Lock and you save the roster spot for something else. But I think for now, they're leaning towards going this direction and going with these 3. The backfield for Seattle. I know there's been some rumblings about K9 potentially getting traded, but he's still here. for the time being. Zach Charbonnet also back as well. I think that the running back room looks a little bit different in the sense that I think that assuming both these guys return in 2025, it's not K9 as RB1 and Zach Charbonnet as RB2. I think it's more K9 is RB1A and Charbonnet is RB1B. I would expect them to get a similar amount of touches. Kenny McIntosh returns. And then I have Damian Martinez also returning. And the final spot in the backfield goes to Robbie Oots. Not George Holani, not Brady Russell. I think they go with the guy that they drafted to be their starting fullback. I think that that's the direction they lean towards. And you look at that running back room, I think all four of those guys at the running back position are capable of being quality starting running backs. You have some real depth. History tells us that this running back position for Seattle gets banged up a lot. You're probably going to need all of them at some point in time. I think you're in really good shape with this running back room. Kubiak wants to run the football. I think you got some options there. Pick one to keep. If Seattle decides to move on from one of their two young running backs, who should they keep? K9 or Zach Charbonnet? Type K9 for Kenneth Walker III, ZC for Zach Charbonnet. Personally, Charbonnet's got 2 more years on his rookie contract. Kenneth Walker's down to 1 more. I'm keeping Zach Charbonnet if you make me choose between the two. What do you think? Weigh in, let us know. The receiver room. Jackson Smith-Njigba is back. I think he's going to have a fantastic season as the clear, undisputed wide receiver 1. Cooper Kupp, he signed in free agency from the Los Angeles Rams. Key thing for Kupp is going to be just staying healthy and being active on the football field. We need him when it counts in December and January. MVS also makes the roster. I know that he got cut recently from the Bills and the Chiefs, but Seattle seems to have some pretty important plans for him, at least in the short term. Torrey Horton, I think, is going to be fully healthy when the season begins, and he'll be on the active roster. Ricky White III as well, I think, makes it. And then who does the third spot go to? Not Jake Bobo, folks. And I know that my guy, Nitsu Trigger, is not going to be happy with me, but Steven Sims is the better option here. He's faster. He can help out on special teams. Jake Bobo, I like Jake. I think he could stick around the practice squad. He could have his name potentially called if there's an injury or something, but there's more versatility, more options that Steven Sims can bring to the table. I'll go with Sims as your wide receiver 6. Your tight ends, we'll go Noah Fant, A.J. Barner, and Elijah Arroyo. I would personally be surprised if Seattle carried more than 3 tight ends at this point. I think Arroyo's got a chance to be your tight end 1 before the end of the year. I'm so high on him. Can't wait to see what he does. The offensive line, we'll go with Charles Cross as well as Grace Abel. I think that left side is going to be much improved from what we've seen in the past. Olu, I feel better about than some people. There are some haters and some losers out there that think that Seattle should upgrade and do better than Olu. I liked what I saw from Olu in the second half of the season. And the Bradford returns. I don't care who starts between him and Christian Haynes. I just want somebody to play that spot well. Abe Lucas, stay healthy, my guy. I don't care if the knee's a chronic issue. Just keep it healthy, please. We need you. We need you. Josh Jones is going to be your backup swing tackle coming over from the Baltimore Ravens. I think Lamea's back, even though he's not getting first-team reps anymore, despite being ahead of the depth chart last year from Christian Haynes. Bryce Cabledew, your day 3 pick out of Kansas. I think he makes it. And then we'll go Christian Haynes. So you may be noticing there are some notable names. There's only 9 spots, I think, realistically. So where did the other guys go? I think Mike Jarrell will stay in town on the practice squad. I think that it's one of those things where they're one injury from calling him up and being like, hey, we need you, Mike. So he won't be very far away. Same with Mason Richmond, who they drafted from Iowa. I think he goes to the practice squad, but I think that, he would be a quick phone call from saying, hey, your time is now. Get ready to go. So they'll be within arm's length of potentially being available there. How would you grade the Seahawks roster, A, B, C, D, or F? What do you think of this group? Weigh in, let us know. Whip out your red pen. How do you think of this roster? We'll get to the defense in a moment, but want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in, let us know. Make sure to subscribe to Seattle Seahawks Today for our daily news and rumors. We're doing live shows, not once, not twice, 3 days a week now throughout the offseason on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're bringing you breaking news, Q&A mailbags. We are your one-stop shop for all things Seattle Seahawks. If you love the Hawks, you've come to the right place. Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. We're closing in on 68,000 subscribers on the channel. Just less than 70 away from reaching that next mark. Subscribe now. Help us get there. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Let's go to the defense. I got 6 total defensive linemen for Seattle, including Leonard Williams. And I think Leonard Williams was fantastic the last 2 seasons. I think he keeps that going. I think he might be the most underrated defensive player in the entire NFL. Byron Murphy, his stats weren't earth-shattering, but I think his difference was felt when he wasn't on the football field and how much of a drop-off it was in the defensive line without him. I like what Byron Murphy's going to do this year. Jaron Reed is back. I believe in Jaron Reed. I think that Jaron Reed is a good piece, a good leader for this defense, and this defensive line looks pretty good on that front. Your backups, Mike Morris returns. Jonathan Hankins, I'm not that high on, but they didn't really have too many better options in a free agency for what they were looking for. And then we'll go with Quentin Bohannon as well to make the roster. One name missing, you may be asking, where's Riley Mills? I think he's on the PUP list. I would be very surprised if we see Riley Mills on the football field anytime soon. That doesn't mean he won't play for Seattle at some point, but he has to get healthy. Coming off that ACL, it wouldn't shock me if he doesn't even play a single down this season. Outside linebackers, DeMarcus Lawrence, a big signing from the Dallas Cowboys. As long as he stays healthy, I wouldn't be shocked if he leads the team in sacks. Uchenna Nwosu also back as well. Took a bit of a pay cut, but when he's healthy, and it's a big win, he is a very good football player. I like Boye Mafe also to be a part of that equation. I still believe in Boye. I haven't wavered on my hopes when it comes to Boye Mafe after he led this team in sacks in 2023 and set the franchise record for most consecutive games with a sack. And then Derek Hall as well. Derek Hall had a breakout season last year. I think you got some dudes here, and you got a real rotation. You can never have too many pass rushers. Inside linebacker, Ernest Jones is back. He's got a new contract. I thought he played very well after they traded for him at the trade deadline. Now he's got that knee fixed, and I think his best football is still in front of him. Tyrese Knight looked like one of the breakout players for this defense last year. A sneaky good draft pick there in the 4th round, a true starter caliber player. I think he's going to be very good this year. Drake Thomas I have making it, and we'll go Josh Ross as well. Although I see it being very competitive when it comes to Thomas and Ross for trying to prove their worth that they belong on this roster. Who is your favorite player on the Seahawks roster? If you had to give me one name, no wrong answers here. Chime in and tell me who you believe that one name is of your favorite player. Let us know in the comments section below. All right, corner. We'll go Devin Witherspoon making the roster. Devin Witherspoon coming off a Pro Bowl appearance. Such a natural in the nickelback spot. I cannot wait to see what he's going to do for many years to come. Arguably the best player in this defense. Rick Woolen. This is a make or break year for Rick Woolen in 2025. He would like to get paid. Seattle would like to have a long-term answer at the outside corner spot. Rick's just got to do a better job tackling. He's a turnover machine. Josh Jobe is back. I don't know if he'll necessarily start. They could go shopping and potentially find another outside corner, but at 1 year, $2 million, you'll be happy to take him. And this is where things get interesting when we talk about the backups. This could go a number of different directions. But Nehemiah Pritchett is one that I expect to be there. Shamar Jean-Charles, I also expect to make it. And then we'll go Zy Alexander as well, getting one of the spots. I think he was a sneaky good pickup there out of LSU. Safety room, this might be the most underrated safety room in all of football. I'm going Julian Love, the Pro Bowler, has not missed a game since he's been in Seattle. I'm very high on him. Kobe Bryant had a strong second half to the season when he replaced Rayshon Jenkins. Hopefully things build upon that for him. Nick Emanwari. What is Nick Emanwari? We don't know the answer to that question. Mike McDonald says they're going to play him wherever they need him. He's got experience at outside linebacker, inside linebacker, nickelback, outside corner, and safety. He will get starting caliber playing time, but he might be doing a variety of things. D'Anthony Bell also makes it as well. They've already talked about potentially using him for some 3 safety looks as well. Who's a player the Seahawks should cut? We'll get to special teams in a moment, but we want you to be the judge. Who should be on the chopping block? Give me a name that you think the Hawks need to move on from. Last and least, special teams unit for Seattle. Jason Myers is back. We also have on the list at the punter position, Michael Dixon, who just got paid. Now he's the highest paid punter in football. And then Chris Stoll at the long snapper position, also making the 53-man roster as well. So there you have it. That's a full breakdown of our latest 53-man roster projection for your Seattle Seahawks. If you made it to the end of today's video, you know what that means? You're a real one. You're a real member of the 12s. Spam a real one in the comments section. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time right here.
The Seattle Seahawks are building something distinct this offseason, and it's definitely not a rebuild, but a realignment. Sam Darnold is there at quarterback. An evolving roster is ready after OTAs, and one glaring need is in the secondary. Is this team navigating a path toward playoff contention? Here's an unfiltered analysis grounded in the latest practice field trends. Stay tuned. When the Seahawks signed Sam Darnold to a significant contract this offseason, analysts called it a calculated gamble. They also say what's happening now in OTA sessions and minicamp suggests the coaching staff is turning that gamble into a deliberate scheme. The offensive plan under Clint Kubiak sharply contrasts with past exercises. Rather than trying to recreate a big play offense, they're leaning into controlled tempo and smart design. Darnold, by training reports, has visibly soaked in the offense. He's been working on processing pre-snap reads, going through progressions faster, and keeping his accuracy within a compact field. Coaches are expecting fireworks during film review sessions. However, optimism doesn't always equal certainty. Can he maintain accurate decision-making when the pads come on? Historically, Darnold has been inconsistent. Take last year's rebound in Minnesota. Indeed, it shows glimpses of his ceiling, yet it also leaves skepticism. Given that fact, Seattle's focus seems not on reinventing him, but on optimizing what's already there. Moving on to the next moves? Yes. Cutting down from 90 to 53 players is brutal. 9 Seahawks battles are being planned so far, based on minicamp and OTA film. In the quarterbacks, Sam Darnold is obviously commanding the starter's role. Drew Lock, familiar with the offense, remains a reliable backup. On the other hand, Jalen Milroe, a rookie with intriguing mobility and arm talent, seems destined for QB3 unless he makes an exceptional leap. Coming to the running backs, Kenneth Walker III holds the lead back designation, and Zach Charbonnet continues to push ahead as the primary change of pace back. The sleeper is Damian Martinez, a back whose versatility is earning buzz and who's ahead of Tyler McIntosh on special teams snaps. For wide receivers, the top trio is Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Interestingly, the competition lies beyond. Jake Bobo brings reliable hands and sharp awareness. Likewise, Ricky White III, a rookie, is showing some juice on intermediate routes. Steven Sims Jr. has separated himself as a special teams prime, but faces pressure from incoming undrafted speedsters. Notably, injuries or mismatches could force rotation, so special teams value is likely the tiebreaker. At tackle and edge rusher, unexpected names have quietly come up, which include Bryce Cavaldew. The player's impressive and consistent footwork and grit could land him on the 53, particularly if he can spell starters in situational snaps. There's one glaring hole Seattle must still fill. That's a bona fide lockdown cornerback. Devin Witherspoon and Josh Jobe bring energy and potential, but practically, none of them have proven themselves as reliable #1 cover corners. Analysts believe this need is the offseason's most urgent priority. Bringing in a veteran with top-tier coverage skills, perhaps someone like a Jair Alexander type, either in free agency or via trade, would recalibrate Mike McDonald's entire scheme. As of now, everything interlocks. A versatile roster guarantees flexibility game to game and reduces risk of injury debt. And one elite corner backbones the defense and improves McDonald's blitz structure. Seattle's offseason moves make a coherent story. That said, you can't call it a scattershot rebuild. They're sculpting an offense to ease Darnold in. Besides, they're drafting and developing flexible players and identifying spot upgrades. Over the next few weeks, watch for that lockdown corner target, scout intensively each OTAs, and check if Darnold's command holds when pads hit. If you're tracking every snap, cut, and free agent whisper, subscribe now. We'll unpack each one together.